Hey, welcome. And today we're going to talk about how the FAA defines the term airworthy when it talks about an aircraft. What is the meaning of the term airworthy? But we can say that an aircraft is considered airworthy if it meets three criteria. First, it must meet its type design. Secondly, it must be properly altered. And third, must be in a safe condition for flight. So let's talk about the first issue. Meet its type design. When an aircraft is manufactured under FAR Part 21, the airworthiness certificate is issued. It will also have a document issued called the Type Certificated Data Sheet. We mentioned this before. This document is a basic summary of the aircraft to provide overall information about the design. At the top of the TC is a number that may have been originally issued when the aircraft was pre-1958 or pre-FAA under CAR 3 rules. In this example, Cessna, which is now under Textron, a 182, was first developed in 1956 under the Civil Air Regulations. When the Federal Aviation Administration was created in 1958, this aircraft became a FAR 23 type certificated aircraft. However, there's still variants out there flying around that are CAR 3. So, the title block is showing all of the variants from 1956 till today. And these are all included under the same TC number. Now, this document will provide information about the engine installed, propellers that can be installed, and governors for each model of aircraft. And it'll have information about the performance of the aircraft, weight and balance, fuel carrying, etc. To learn about the specific equipment that was installed in the aircraft at the time of certification, well, that would be included in the aircraft's equipment list. The aircraft equipment list will be issued on the same date as the certification. For most aircraft, this document will provide not only the items installed, but some options that can be replaced. Now, meaning that if a technician were to remove the original system and replace it with one shown on this list, it would not be a major alteration because that part was already included in the aircraft's TC. Now, an aircraft can be altered many times over its lifetime. If the aircraft has been altered, it needed to be done to approved data. And one method of altering an aircraft is to install a part or system that has an STC applied. Now, these should be documented on an FA Form 337. Another method an aircraft can be properly modified is to comply with airworthiness directives. An AD can be the reason a structure could be modified to strengthen a defect from manufacturing or cause a change in part. A great example is a cracking that used to be known to occur in the nose gear forks of early as 182s. The AD required repetitive inspection until the part was replaced by an improved part number. That would be a properly altered aircraft. Now, not as critical to safety, but can cause an aircraft to be altered, is for the owner to comply with service bulletins. Service bulletins are issued by the manufacturer and constitute approved data. Another method that which an aircraft can be properly altered is as the result of a major repair. Now, these are normally done as a result of damage and need to be documented with FA Form 337. The third condition of airworthiness is that the aircraft must be in a condition for safe flight. Now, this statement is the FAA's concession that no aircraft that operates is 100% perfect as if the day it came off the assembly line. The FAA has allowed aircraft, even those carrying paying passengers, to have inoperative equipment, as long as that inoperative equipment is not a hazard to flight. Now, for most larger aircraft, the FAA has created master minimum equipment lists, or MMELs. These MMELs are then used by the owner-operator to create a MEL for each aircraft, and the FAA would approve each MEL either individually by aircraft or through the airline process. Now, the document can be downloaded from the FAA's website, and it comes with a list of definition that allows for each piece of an operative equipment to be categorized by the level of safety risk. Now, the MMEL is created in cooperation with the manufacturer, so this is a minimum list. You very rarely can add something to it unless it was a piece of equipment later on that was added. For example, ADS-B is the newest piece of equipment that's been installed in aircraft, and that can be MEL'd, but may not be in an original master MEL. Now, each system or piece of equipment is divided into an ATA Spec 100 code. So in this example, ATA 30 is ice and rain protection, and item number 3042 identifies windshield heaters. Now, having the lowest level of criticality, C, which is normally 10 days, A being next flight, B being 24 hours, the number installed is 3 in the next column, and only 1 is needed. The pilot then, before flight, would read the O remarks and would make a decision to take the flight or not based on safety. Now, if the weather for the upcoming flight is to forecast icy conditions, the aircraft would not be in a safe condition for flight. Therefore, at that time, the aircraft is unairworthy. However, if it was non-icing conditions, clear conditions for the flight, then it would be safe and the pilot could take it, and the aircraft would be considered airworthy. Now, if the aircraft does not have a master MEL available, as most general aviation aircraft do not, there is relief in FAR 91-213 that will allow a pilot to determine that the aircraft is safe for continued flight. Now, instead of a separate book that outlines the equipment installed in the aircraft, the GA MEL, which is what this seems to be called, uses the equipment requirements outlined in FAR 91 subpart C for equipment, instrument, and certificate requirements. So the MEL would be based on FAR 91-205 for visual flight rules as a minimum, to VFR at night, then to instrument flight rules, IFR. For example, IFR flight requires a gyroscopic pitch and bank indicator, which is also known as an artificial horizon. Should this instrument not operate properly for any reason, the aircraft could continue to fly. However, the aircraft would not be authorized to operate in IFR, but it could operate VFR and VFR at night. However, both an approved MEL and the 91-213 inoperative rules, neither can be used unless there is a maintenance record entry. Now, for aircraft with an MEL, the master includes instructions about the maintenance record that must be included. In the remarks and exceptions columns, if there's an M code instructions, then that must be performed by an appropriately certificated individual. Well, this is because this could be a deactivation procedure, then a functional check element that a pilot would not be expected to perform. However, if there's nothing more than to add a sticker and make a logbook entry, pilots for some companies can be allowed to make the logbook entry. It's not for all, but some. Now, for general aviation aircraft, the regulation only requires that the control or indication be placarded as NOP, then a logbook entry made for the deferral to be recorded. Now, another major difference with the GA version versus the large aircraft is that there's no repair by date for GA. Inoperative equipment can be reevaluated every year at the annual inspection, but even with the equipment inoperative, the logbook entry is correct, effective placards in place, the IAS can still sign off the aircraft as being airworthy after the inspection. It would be up to the pilot to determine if the aircraft is still airworthy. But as far as the IAS performing the inspection, well, an MEL, properly documented, is a safety of flight issue, which is an operational issue, not an airworthiness issue for inspection. Now that you know that for an aircraft to be airworthy, it must meet its original type design, it must be properly altered, and be safe for flight. Hey, thanks for viewing this video. This video actually is only one small part of an entire course called Major Repair and Major Alteration. The Major Repair and Alteration course is designed for anybody who works in a repair station, who is a mechanic or an IA doing alterations to an aircraft, or military people that are transitioning to the civilian world. We cover things like major repair, major alteration, approved data, aircraft parts, how to fill out an FAA Form 337, and how to deal with a field approval and get one from the FAA. Hey, thanks for sticking along with this video, and if you liked it, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and of course share it if you know anybody that might be interested in this material.